Okay, so we're going to go through the homework from lesson 49. So, your five solid problems on verifying identities. So, hopefully, you're starting to get the hang of this, but they also do get harder as you do more of them. So, I don't know how you're feeling about it, but here we go. Cosecant squared of t. I don't need to read this. You can see it. You can start on either side. I'm going to choose the left hand side. So, I'm going to rewrite everything in terms of sine and cosine. So, cosecant squared is 1 over sine squared. And cotangent is cosine. Remember, cotangent has cosine on top over sine. So then I am going to flip here. So I'm going to have 1 over sine squared of t times sine t over cosine of t. One of my signs cancels, right? Because this is a factor, right? We talked about not canceling things that are added or subtracted, but these are multiplied. So what do I have now? I have 1 over sine of t times 1 over cosine of t. What is that? It's what I'm trying to get. 1 over sine is cosecant. 1 over cosine is secant. All right, you could start on the right-hand side, but I started on the left, so there's that one. All right, next up we have number 23. All right, for number 23, again, you pick your side. I'm going to go with the right-hand side. So I'm going to rewrite cosecant as 1 over sine theta. And cotangent is cosine over sine. I want to bring these together because I see that the left-hand side is one fraction. And look, I already have a common denominator. So I am actually here at my answer, which is 1 minus cosine of theta over sine of theta. So seeing here, this wasn't a long one. If you did start on the left-hand side, you would just be splitting the fraction. And then you would see that you got the quantity that you were trying to get. All right. Next up was 27. 27 is going to take a little more effort. I want to show you a conjugate. So I could change tangent to sine over cosine and do a common denominator, but I feel like we've done a lot of that. So I want to show you a conjugate. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom of this fraction by 1 minus sine of t. Okay. So why do I do that? I do that because now I have a tangent of t plus, I'm going to leave it, cosine of t over 1 minus sine of t over, and then I FOIL. I get a positive sign, a negative sign cancel, and then a negative sine squared of t. Now, I have to think here about what do I want to change. So you kind of have a choice what you change that to. I'm going to change 1 minus sine squared into a cosine squared. So tangent is still just hanging out. Probably going to end up changing it at some point. Sorry, my computer got angry for a moment there. But I can change the bottom with my Pythagorean identity just to a cosine squared of t. I wrote x, but I meant t. So what does that mean? That means now that this cosine can cancel with one of the ones in the denominator, right? I would say it feels about time to change tangent. I could have done it from the first step, but hey, saved a little writing. Tangent is sine over cosine. Plus, now I have 1 minus sine over just a cosine. Bring those together, they already have a common denominator. Sine of t plus 1 minus sine of t over cosine of t. The sine and the negative sign cancel. I'm left with 1 over cosine, and that is secant. All right, so that's a way that the conjugate can work out. Again, if you wanted to right away change tangent to sine over cosine and then just do our common denominator, that should work out as well. All right, next up is 31. All right, for number 31, I am going to do a common denominator. So I'm going to give the first fraction a cosine in the top and bottom. Notice I'm showing that. I'm going to give the second fraction a 1 minus sign in the top and bottom. And then I'm going to see what happens. So first fraction gives me, I'm going to write little because this is going to take some space, I feel like, cosine squared of x plus, when I FOIL, this doesn't cancel because those aren't conjugates. So I have 1 minus 2 sine x, and then plus a sine squared of x, right? 1 times 1 is 1. I get a negative sine x, another negative sine x. There's my negative 2. And then negative sine x times negative sine x gives me the positive. All right, that is all over the common denominator of cosine x times 1 minus sine x. All right, so now it really hinges on noticing, hey, look, cosine squared plus sine squared is 1, right? I have 1 plus another 1 minus a 2 sine x over my common denominator. So I really have 2 minus 2 sine x over cosine x times 1 minus sine x. Only way this is going to work out is if I notice to factor. Look up top, they both have a 2. If I take that 2 out, I have 1 minus sine x. And all of a sudden, that is a whole factor that cancels out. 2 over cosine x is the same as 2 times 1 over cosine x, which is the same as 2 secant x. All right, that had a little more going on. In that one, I think a conjugate would work. If you just did the conjugate of this one, you could probably get to the answer as well, but I liked the common denominator there. And then the final one was number 33. 33, I think you can probably start on either side. I'm going to start on the right-hand side because I have said a couple times now, I would rather bring something together. So see the plus, I would rather combine them to try to get multiplication than try to tear these apart. So secant is 1 over cosine. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So those are both squared. I'm going to make a common denominator. So this needs the sine squared x, top and bottom. This needs the cosine squared x, top and bottom. What do I have then? I have sine squared x plus cosine squared of x over sine squared of x times cosine squared of x. Sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. That's a biggie. It comes up a lot. 1 over sine squared x times cosine squared x. That is 1 over sine is cosecant. 1 over cosine is secant. So I got what I needed. All right. If you tried a different way and that wasn't my way and you had trouble getting to your answer, feel free to reach out. I can always check over your work and tell you exactly, what went wrong or where you could have kept going. But those were the problems. So hopefully that helps you understand better.